I'm going to what I'm going to do now, what have I done? I've done a lap drive. I'm going to talk about the diff. Right. What is the diff, Mick? The diff is short for differential. I'm only laughing because someone's in the room with me and they're just laughing at me because they think I'm an idiot. What does a differential do in a car? Well, first thing it does is turn the drive 90 degrees from the direction where the car's going. That's the first thing it does. Second thing it does is, well, the other thing it does is transmits the engine to the drive wheels. But it does it in different ways. So you've got like a few different types of differentials, and I can't remember for the life of me remember what the diff in the 49 is called. But there's a few. There's a totally open diff, which is normal. All the cars I work on anyway, all the open road cars, which you've got the old type open diffs. And then you've got the spool diff, which is on the I think it's actually on the Porsche 962 and the Porsche 9, whatever the one before that was, 95, no, not 959. I don't know which one it was. 962 anyway. I know that had a spool diff, which is a totally 100% locked differential. There's no adjustment on it. Same as a V8 supercar here on iRacing, and real world. That car's got a spool diff on it as well, which means there's no settings. You can't change anything on that car in the diff, apart from the angle of the rear axle in the bother trying to go into that because I can't remember it myself, and there's no point because there's nothing here that resembles that. So what does preload, clutches and ramp angles mean? Preload, well, first of all, preload, I don't know how that works. All I know is what it does. It just puts on a preloaded amount of locking force in the diff, whether you're on power or off power. It might actually mean, I think I might have sussed it out myself now, it might actually mean that there's locking forces on differential, even if you're coasting along the road with your foot on the clutch, or if you're in neutral. You know, I think even then there's probably a locking force in diff. If you haven't got any preload, there is no locking force on the diff, as far as I'm aware. There might be, yeah, there will be, because you've got at least one clutch all the time on the diff. So, but anyway, I don't really know that side of it, and there's no need to know anyway. All I know is what it does. I don't know how it does it, but I know how the rest of it works. Ramp angles, basically what that is the best way to describe a ramp angle and how it works and what it actually is it's inside the differential casing, and what you've got is imagine a chisel, not a chisel, imagine a ball, a small ball bearing. So imagine a ball bearing about 1 inch across, so like a gobstopper type ball, pushing against a V, an upside down V. So the ball's like pushing against the bottom of a pyramid, and the pyramid hasn't got a bottom. You know, it's pushing on the inside of the two walls that go up to the point. That upside down V is your ramp, and your ramp angle is how wide or how thin the V is, the upside down V is. So say for instance you have a 35-degree ramp, that means you've got a 35-degree V shape, and the ball is pushing against, you know, you're pushing the ball into that V, and it's forcing the two lines of the V outwards. That's where you get your locking force, where the ball's pushing the V outwards, the upside down V outwards. So one side of the V is connected to the left wheel, one side's connected to the right wheel. So if you've got a 35 and the ball which pushes against it is connected to the engine in a roundabout way. And so when you put your foot down, all that you're doing is you're forcing that ball into the upside down V, and that's pushing against clutches which are outside of the V, and then those clutches are joined onto the drive shafts, and obviously the drive shafts are joined onto the wheels. If you've got a 35-degree drive ramp, that's quite a thin type of a V, because it's only 35 degrees. So the V's like picture like the V really thin, pointed straight up, and the ball's pushing onto those inside walls of the V, pushing them out. So the ball's going to be able to push quite firmly into that, and you're going to get a lot of movement. You get a lot of locking force. If you've got a 75-degree ramp, imagine the V, which is really wide. And when the ball pushes up in the middle of the V, the two lines don't push apart that much. That's why you don't get as much locking force. That is how it works. I know it's a stupid way of describing it, and there's probably a million better ways to describe how it works, but that's what it is. When I'm talking about a ball, there's actually a bar that goes through the differential, and when you put your foot down, that bar spins round along with the differential. So when that bar is facing you, essentially it's a circle, and it's always pushing on a V, and the V opens up, and the part of the V that opens up pushes on the clutch, which is outside the V, which is outside the part that the V pushes on, that goes onto the drive shafts and the wheels. So the coast ramp is exactly the same thing, but it's a normal V shape. It's the right way up. And the same thing applies, if it's a 35-degree V or ramp, when you're off the power, the bar or the ball, what I was describing, is going to push down, and it's going to push a lot. It's going to get a lot of movement on the V. The V is going to be forced out a lot. If you've got a 75-degree V, which is wide, it's a really fat, long V, because the angle is huge. When the ball or the bar pushes on that V, it's not going to get much movement. So that's how it works. So that's how you get your different ramps. That's what the ramps are. Talking about drive ramp for a second, what the drive ramp is when you're on power. So if you've got more locking force on the car, and I'm not going to show you this when I'm driving because it doesn't show up that much here at this track, but I did want to talk about it. I might do it. I will do it. I'll do it with clutches as well, just to show you even more. Basically, if you've got more locking force between the back wheels when you're driving, when you're powering, you get more oversteer. And you only get that oversteer when you break the outside tyre, when you break that tyre's grip on any turn. So if I'm going around turn 1 here, and put my foot down and I break the grip of the left rear, the right rear still stays at the same speed as the left rear, and that's why you get all your oversteer, because both wheels are locked together. If I've got a 75 ramp, drive ramp, and I go into the corner and put my foot down, what happens is, because the locking force isn't there, nowhere near as strong as the 35 ramp, the left-hand rear wheel spins up on its own. Because that's what a differential has to do. That it has to let the wheels spin at different weights. That's the whole point of a differential in a road car. Is if you're going around the corner, the outside wheel has to travel farther than the inside wheel. That's the whole reason the differential is on a car. If you didn't have to have it, you wouldn't. Because you want as much grip as you can get. The only thing I don't understand why certain cars have spool diffs. I know I've watched a video with that guy that was on Top Gear, Chris Harris, and he was in the 962. That's how I know that car's got a spool diff, or in other words, a fully locked differential. And he was talking to the guys that made the car, designed it, and they said that was the only way the car worked, was with a spool diff in it. I don't know why. I've got no idea why. I've got no idea why a car would be better off having a spool diff than having a diff with settings on it. No idea whatsoever. So anyway, what I'll do is I'm going to chuck the, just forget that I'm putting in clutches and stuff and preload and all the rest of it, because it doesn't show up that much here. Tried it earlier and it's quite hard to see what's going on. But if I put a 75 power ramp in the car, you'll see what I'm talking about. Let me just change that. Right, I've got 75 coast and 75 power ramp at the moment. So, I know for a fact I'm going to have to wear the cars out a little bit before it shows up. So, bear with me for a couple of minutes while I just... While I just do that, I'll just tweak around that a bit more. Down at third gear again, hold this line on the right hand side. Don't do that, you get one next time you get a slow down. Done that before. Any line you want through this corner is fine, as long as you hit those. My apex got miles to the right of it for some reason. But if I'd have nailed this brake in the road, I still wouldn't have lost any time. Right, this is the corner coming up this left, not the first right, the left. Not see what I'm talking about, I can get around it. Right, there you go. That's wheel spin without the car losing the rear end. So all that is the left rear tyre spinning up on its own. Now I did forget to put all the clutches and preload in it, so it is doing it. So the car's not going anywhere, you know, the car's not being driven forward when that's happening, which is why no one ever drives a 75 power ramp in this car. There you go, there's more wheel spin, and all it is one wheel spinning and the other one gripped up. So it's nothing good. There's no good to be had out of that. Just rubbish. I think it only really happens at the slow corners on this track. So don't ever use a 75 power ramp, because it's just totally defeating the object of this car. And I'll explain why later when I use the 35 or use a normal one anyway. So I'm not even getting to the rev limiter there now. There we go. That was just the left rear spinning up on its own, and it'll happen again right at this one. Yeah, didn't do it. Well, it did spin up a little bit, but not bad. I knew I was going to crash, so I just kept my foot in then. Even done it there, look. Didn't do it there, got a bit of oversteer there. So it is showing up quite badly, it wasn't earlier. I think I'm using a bit of a... I think I'm using hotter temperatures at this session now. Right, so what I'm going to do now, so you can see there's no oversteer whatsoever. Right, so now I've done something what I've never done ever in this car, and I've put 35 power ramp on it, 4 clutches and 150 pound of preload. So on power, well, and coast now because I've put preload and clutches into it, the diff is as locked as it can ever be. The diff is as locked as it can ever be in this car now, so I'm expecting it to be an absolute nightmare out of these corners. Yeah, there's understeer. And there's the oversteer. There's a bit more oversteer. And there's a ton of oversteer. And this is out of the pits when it's got as much grip as it's ever going to have. Yeah, that's pretty hard to drive. And like I say, what's happening now is that as I'm driving, it's the rear wheel, the outside of the turn rear wheel, so this turn coming up for instance, the right hand wheel now, if the right hand rear wheel loses grip, the left rear ain't going to take, not going to give it any leeway, you know, it's completely locked to it. So it's just going to, you know, as I hit my foot in, it's just going to make it lose grip even more than it already is. Because the left rear is not going to spin on its own. And that's what happens. So that's how the drive ramp works and what happens to the car. The other thing is that the drive ramp does is, I'll just set it back and then I'll tell you. The other thing that the drive ramp does, as you get down into lower drive ramps, and you will want to get down to the lower end of the drive ramp, especially in the other cars races. You know, I'm using a 60 at the moment, and it seems alright. You know, I don't know if I'm going to use it or if I'm going to go down. I might go down to 50, something like that. But in the overcast races, if I am set at 50 in default weather, in overcast conditions, I'll go down to 40 or even 35 if it's drivable. Just because you've got so much more grip. Just the very fact that you've got so much more grip creates understeer in this car. If you don't break the rears loose on the exits. And I don't mean, you know, drifting at 45-degree angle out of the corners. I mean, I'll show you. What I mean is, you know, putting enough power into the car to have the steering forced open. So, like that. If you're driving the car like, if I'm driving the car like this, and the rears are totally gripped up all the time, I'm losing so much time on the exit. There's no way you can be fast by doing that. And that's probably, well, yeah, it probably is the main thing, the main trick for getting this car to be fast is getting the rear to slide a bit. So I'm just driving around and completely, utterly gripped up. So the steering's still turning. The steering is, you know, how do I put it? The steering is totally connected to the direction of the car now. And you don't want that. You don't want that nowhere near you. You don't want it at all. What you're aiming for, what I'm doing now, really messed up as I do it out of this corner. What you want is to put the power down hard enough to force the steering open, like that. Yeah, again. Same with the fast corners, look. Steering straight left before the car's straight. And that means the rears are sliding. That means you're getting maximum acceleration off these corners. Even if it does that, you're still faster than having it gripped up. Sometimes you don't have to do it, like that corner there, where you hit that curb on the right hand side. You don't really have to do it there, because it's such a short straight anyway. But here especially, you've got to do it coming out of this corner. On this one, maybe it's quite hard to do it on this one because you're turning anyway. Look. But yeah, there you go. It's too much. But you still want to be able to. Well, you still don't want to be having the rears gripped up fully. Flat shifting as well. Flat shifting the car. Flat shifting is keeping your foot flat to the floor and bumping the clutch and shifting up the gears. I'd say it's probably good for about 3/10 round a lap, 2 or 3/10. So just watch the pedal inputs, what Simon's going to kindly put up when I finish his video. I'll do it down the straight, I'll do it as if I'm doing a start, working back here. So if you watch the accelerator, it will be to the floor until I brake, and then just start from the clutch up and down on the gear shift. Moving to second lap. That's the fastest way to get this car down the track, just flat shifting it. Sometimes you don't want to do it really. You don't really want to do it if you're accelerating and turning, because it normally creates a bit of wheel spin if you're turning and doing it. But I think you can do it out of this front. But I wouldn't do it there, into full, because the car's turning. But a lot of guys are doing it here. A lot of the guys in our racing are doing it. Let's do it in the V8. 2000 and whatever, God knows. 11? 10? I don't know. What are we going to talk about? Oh yeah, the diff. Oh right, coast side of the diff. Right, there's something you can do with the coast side of the diff, and that is, I remember I did it a while. It's only ever worked once for me because it's just one of them things that doesn't work a lot at a time, but when it does work, it's one of the best things you can do in this car, and nobody does it. No one does it, trust me. And except one guy called Jack Olstad, who was doing it with me, because I was in the practice session and he was talking about it. The reason why I thought about it now is because when I was reading about differentials and stuff, I googled it and I got this page up, and it was like a Grand Prix Legends, papyrus page, and there was just an article about the differential, and that was where it told you what the name of the differential, what the type is. I can't remember what it's called. Some town in England. So I don't know, a Birmingham Diff or something like that. It's called something stupid like that. Yeah. Anyway, it's not called Birmingham Diff, but it's like that. What was I going to say? What am I talking about? Mick, what are you talking about? Right. Coast side. So yeah, me and Jack was in a practice session, and I just read up this article, and it said about the coast side of the diff and what people were doing in the original Grand Prix Legends game. They were using really low coast ramps, really low, 35, 40, 45 coast ramps, and the reason they were doing that was to allow me to use really low brake bias, and I'm just going to try and change it now. It won't work, trust me, because it's so hard to do. I won't get any lap. I promise you, I will not get any lap time out of doing this, because it would. I don't know if it would work here. It probably wouldn't, because you're turning and braking and whatnot everywhere here. So let me just change it and see what happens. Right, so I've been to a 40 coast ramp and a 53 brake bias. The reason why I can get away with a 53 brake bias now is because when I'm braking, if one rear tyre wants to lock up, which is normally what happens if you've got a low brake bias, or one or both of the tyres wants to lock up, the Diff lets it, because the other wheel can spin and the other wheel can be locked up, because you're running a 75 coast ramp, just to get the car to turn in. So what you're doing is you can run a lower brake bias, run a lower coast diff, and what happens is you can brake so much later than you did. And if the rears want to lock up, which they will do, when one of them does, the other wheel that is still turning will force the wheel that wants to lock up to spin again. So you get less rear locking, brake locking. The only trouble is with it is it's only fast. It only works if you can trail brake right round into the apex of the corner, because you're using such a low coast ramp. The car's got so much understeer in it. You've got to use the low brake bias to get the rear of the car round the entry of the corner. So let's have a laugh. It will not work, and trust me, I'll probably crash. And even if I don't, it won't be faster, because you really, really have to put in some bloody hours to get this right. Well, I did anyway at Donington, and it only worked at Donington. But I won the race, and I'm pretty sure that was why. I was pretty quick there that week. So yeah, anyway, like I say, 53 brake bias there, and a 40 coast ramp. And let's have a look at the, I'll tell you what, I'll go to the optimum data, because that one's set at 37.7, I don't know if that's fast, isn't it? Well, let's see what happens anyway. Let's see if the car's still drivable. So I won't break through here. Let's just have a look here. There's your understeer. I'm going the same speed as I normally do. There's your understeer, because the rear wheels are locked solid now. So that's the bad thing that happens to the car. But like I say, you have to use the brakes to hide that there. Now on the brakes, if I can get it right, I'll be on the brake all the way around until I'm on the power again. And that's what I'm talking about. I don't think I'll get that right, because it's not easy. This is what happens, you just sail through the apex. This is what was happening with me and Jack when we was trying it. We were just sailing straight through the apex of the corner. Because you have to come off the brake. Oh, I know it there. You have to come off the brake to get the car to turn in, and then because you've come off the brake, you sort of come off it too much. So let's have a go. Let's see when the brake point can be turn one. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. You sail straight through it. But against my optimum time, I was only 200s off there, and you could see how quick it was in the actual braking zone. So I'm on the brake, power. I might use this quickly. I might try it anyway. I haven't tried it since that week at Benetton. Yeah, brake, and power. You have to stay on the brake all the way until you can get on the power. It's like you're either on the brake or on the power. There's no in between there. Flat shifting again. Yeah, I can brake so much later now. So there when I forgot myself there, I came off the brake there in the middle of that corner, just understeered off. So you've got to stay on the brake all the way around here until you get on the power again. So there's no middle of the corner now, it's just either brake or power. And then the quarter second up on my optimum. I don't know if that optimum was quick anyway, I don't know. But all I know is these brake points have moved quite a lot. And the thing is as well, unless you're going to sit there and really know this stuff, you've got to know that you're going to still be able to fight other cars with it handling like this. And so I was lucky that week at Benetton, and I put in so many hours, and I just thought to myself, I'm just going to stick with it because I started nailing turn one. And like I say, I was on the brake all the way into the corner, and it really worked there. But one thing I don't really want to be doing to try and get it to work is be talking and telling you that how to do it and trying to learn it myself. So I'm going to shut up and see if I can get some sort of a lap time doing it now. So just watch the pedal inputs. If I nail it, then it'll be good reference for watching. See if I can get some sort of a lap. Oh, it's tough. It is tough. I don't know, I've done it in the original Grand Prix Legends because that was a lot harder to drive than this car, no matter what car you was in. Fast anyway. I normally try a brake anyway, but nowhere near as much as this. Not all the way to the apex, or definitely not until, all the way up until I get back on power again. I've normally come off the brake completely and sort of let the car roll around whatever apex until I get back on power again. You just can't let the car freewheel anywhere now in any part of the corner. Like I say, you either brake or power, just to get rid of that understeer that's in the back end now. If you know what I mean. Understeer's on the front end, but you know what I'm saying, it's being caused by the back end of the car being so locked together. Yeah, it's making it completely changes the corners. Completely. Yeah, the car, I mean, that's happened twice now in the same lap. The car just dives in right on the last part of the braking, trail braking, so I've just got to adjust my foot to come off the brake just before it dives in there at the end. It done it in turn 1 and it done it in the slow left-hander as well. I normally find it's harder to control the slow corners when you're doing this. The read ain't too bad. But this one probably is going to be not. And the trouble is, because you're braking and turning, half the time you don't know if you brake too early, and you know you're just slowing. You're doing 5 mile an hour less than you would have been normally if you had a normal setup. This is what I'm talking about. How much practice this needs. It really needs so much practice to get it right. It's the hardest thing I've ever tried to do in this car, anyway. We're still braking, we're still brake power. Power, brake. You can't take both feet off and just let it do what it wants to do like you normally can, yeah? Let's try and narrow this turn. Right, brake. Power. There we go. That was power. Brake. See now, I took the foot off the brake too much. Such a fine line between good and shit. And if you start using, 40 coast ramps and 40 power ramps and stuff like that, I mean the car's such an animal to drive them. Oh no, that was trail brake all the way through there. And here. Up to the rev limiter that time. Because I know that mess this up to. Yeah, I don't know. Mess it up here. Let's try and get this one now done. Yes, getting there. So anyway, it is well worth a try doing, because even though you've got such a low coast land, all this trail braking does is just completely hides the understeer. I'm definitely going to try it again whenever we run there again, because it works there like a treat. That's the secret there, it's just you've got to go in late. This is the hardest. That's the hardest one to get right, I think, for me. Anyway, that's enough for me. So that's all I know. That's everything I know about the differential in this car. Just recapping it, you know, if you're not going to worry about doing the coast ramp thing and low brake bias and all that stuff, just make sure that you can get on the power hard enough to have the steering full start of the turn. So when you can do that, then you know if you can do that, you're doing as good as any of us in this car. I think that's what the difference is between the fast guys and the slower guys. Is that slide on the exit. Because if you do try and aim for that, you can get on power a lot earlier, because you've got rid of the understeer. If your car's gripped up, you get on the power as early as someone who can get the rear to come round. Your rear is not going to come round, and you need your rear to come round. So that is the moral and the sentence of this video. Get your rear to come round, but not to my house. Take it easy.